Hello and welcome to Stickman Reviews. I am Dwayne Stickman, and today we're going to be going over The Invisible Man by Universal Studios. So I saw this over the weekend. Of course, I saw it at home. Thanks a lot, Corona. But, I got to play it safe. So whipped out the old credit card, plunked down my 1999 to see what all the hoopla is about. A little background here. Invisible Man is actually based on the H.G. Wells novel and has long been a staple of one of the Universal classic monsters, sharing the stage with such icons as Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein, Wolfman, and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Hell, they've been making Invisible Man movies since the 30s, so it was only a matter of time before we got another one. Now, if you all reverse a few years back, they had tried to spark some life into the Universal Monsters franchise, and to lead all that up was The Mummy with Tom Cruise. I don't know if you remember that film. It was a big budget, modern day action adventure, yada yada yada. If you didn't catch it, well, you didn't miss much. Mostly just Tom Cruise doing his Tom Cruise thing, running from mummies and flashing his big white teeth. The movie flopped hard, and rightfully so. Just wasn't very good. Hell, most people missed the Brendan Fraser movies after that one, and those weren't that good either. Let's remind everybody of the horrible CGI Scorpion Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Anybody remember that? Yeah. But Universal had some bigger plans for that Mummy film, and that was the Dark Universe. Oh, Dark Universe, I'm scared. Hide your kids. See, the plan was to unite all the Universal monsters into some big adventure style team where they can all, I don't know, fight aliens and eat shawarma, I guess. But, to nobody's shock, nobody really wanted that. Then boom, went the Dark Universe. Part of the collateral damage was a proposed Invisible Man movie with some unknown actor named Jonathan Depp. He was going to be the Invisible Man, and I assume it would have been some wacky affair full of bad accents and even bad mustaches. So maybe it was all for the best, because what Universal had missed was that horror movies should be about horror. And so it looks like with this new run of horror movies, they took a step back and went back to a simpler model, telling a small story that just doesn't break the bank. See, what's so lucrative about horror film is what we call ROI. That is return on investments. See, if you can make a horror movie cheap, which relatively cheap, meaning $2 to $10 million, then the return can be pretty high, as opposed to that Tom Cruise Mummy movie, which I'm guessing cost about $150 million. Yeah, they ain't gonna make their money back. No way. So, did this new return to form work? Well, let's see. The Invisible Man is about a woman played by Elizabeth Moss of *Handmaid's Tale* and *Mad Men* fame, who finds herself in a pretty bad relationship with some tech genius muckety-muck named Adrian. When she tries to escape his abusive ways, Adrian kills himself, supposedly, and thinks that she's out of the woods. That is until she starts experiencing some creepy things that make her realize that maybe the real terror is just beginning. That's right, Adrian has figured out a way to be invisible, and he's coming back with a vengeance. So let's break down the pros and cons of this movie. And warning, there will be spoilers. Pros. This movie starts out with a bang. See, where most horror movies take their time to establish what's called the status quo, that's where we see a protagonist in their everyday life before the poop really hits the fan. This one just jumps right into the drama. When we first see Elizabeth Moss, she's trying to sneak out of the house before her abusive boyfriend wakes up. What follows is a super tense scene where she's tiptoeing out of the mansion, only to be confronted by a little poochie here who's like, "Take me with you." She runs off, she climbs a fence, and then she finds her sister, and her sister's waiting there by a car, and she meets up with her, and she's like, "We got to get out of here. My super angry, super genius boyfriend's coming." And the sister's like, why don't you just call the police?" Elizabeth Moss is like, "Hey, we can't, he's gonna hurt us." And he pops out of the woods, and he's like, "Hey, get back here, bitch." And they run, and then that's it. So it really does start off tense. I like that. It was a tense scene. My hands were sweaty just talking about it right here. And I think sometimes it's great to start with a bang and give us some of that exposition later. I also like some of the twists and turns in this movie. This film found a nice balance between showing you the familiar, but mixing things up enough so you don't know exactly where it's going. Like, for example, and this is a big spoiler, There is a scene where she meets up with her sister in a restaurant to tell her about all the kooky invisible experiences she's been going through, only for the sister's throat to get slit with a knife that's tossed into Elizabeth Moss's hand, freaking out everybody in the restaurant and having them be like, that woman just killed her sister. Oh man, I almost flew through the roof when that happened, which would be very dangerous seeing as how the air is contaminated with corona right now. And the best part about that twist is that once that happened, I didn't know where the movie was going at all. And that's what's fun about horror movies sometimes. It's a lot more fun when you don't know where things are going. And that's when the suspense really takes it up a notch. Also, what I liked, the Invisible Man's suit itself. I thought it was awesome. You see, great horror knows the power of an iconic image and a look. And when I saw that suit, my jaw hit the floor. I just thought that's the way to do it. That is an iconic, awesome monster suit, and you can put that up with any of the other Universal monsters. I also like that it was a suit, not some invisible potion bullcrap, and it had a nice setup payoff, because every time you kind of like heard that Invisible Man sort of tiptoeing around her, you'd hear these whirring sounds everywhere, and Elizabeth Moss was kind of like looking around like, what's those whirring sounds? And you didn't even know what they were until later it's revealed that they were these little optic cameras in the suit, and I kind of like that. I like a good setup and a good payoff. Also, I like that this movie wasn't about some madman trying to kill the protagonist. It was about him messing with her, making her think that she's crazy, and making everyone around her think the same. Too many times they'll make a horror movie with some killer on the loose, and the main character finds a way to miraculously survive and give him the slip. And while sometimes that model works, a lot of times it feels forced and convenient. You can see the writers sort of creating this scenario and forcing the characters to make these choices that the writer wants them to make instead of being organic. It's got to feel organic. They got to get out of trouble in a believable way. Because the objective wasn't about killing her, okay? That would have been too easy, which it really connects me to what I like most about this film, and that is the message of this movie. See, I'm big on what we call theme. And what I appreciated was that when you take out all the craziness and the suits and the dogs with shock collars and all that business, this film is about a victim who just wasn't believed. She had a legitimate threat on her hands, and she came from this abusive household, but no one was listening and nobody was believing her. And so she had to persevere in order to get over on him and win the day. I like that. And although it got a little too ham-fisted with its message at the end, I liked that it was actually a horror film about something. That does not happen often. So now for the cons. Get ready for it. You know what it is? You guessed it, jump scares. I hate jump scares. I don't like them. I don't need them. And to be honest, it cheapens the film experience. All right? Good horror should be about story choice. It should be about atmosphere. It should be about suspense. You don't need to get all quiet and then, yeah, surprise! It's weak and it's gimmicky. Also, this film suffered with some logic flaws and what I call, I guess, writer conveniences, like stopping to remove the dog collar. Did that really matter in the moment? It's not like the bad guy Adrian can't just put on the collar when he wakes up, but the writer needed that car alarm to go off, and that's what he chose. Also, the scene where she splashed the paint on the Invisible Man and he ran off and he washed it in the sink super fast and he was completely invisible again in like 2 minutes and she was looking for him and he didn't see him. I don't think you can wash paint off completely that fast. This is just one of many logic choices, and you get enough of those and you start questioning the whole thing. Some other gripes I had was with the acting. While Elizabeth Moss is a great actress, I think she got a little too crazy, a little too fast. You know, in the horror movies, when the protagonist is kind of unraveling, it's got to be a slow build. You take a film like The Shining. Jack didn't just go all crazy at the start or towards the start of the movie. He went nuts about 80% in, and before that, it's kind of a gradual scene by scene. This one, she had one encounter, and she was sure that she was just dealing with an invisible man, making all kinds of crazy faces and talking nutso. Another gripe was, while some twists came out of the blue, which I liked, other story points, I mean, you could just see them a mile away. The fact that Adrian's brother was evil, I mean, come on, everybody saw that coming. The fact that she was pregnant, I mean, you can telegraph all these things, and I don't know. Whenever you telegraph something and you go, oh, I bet that's going to happen, and then it does happen, it just takes you out of the film. and just takes you out of the experience too. I also thought that some of the reactions of her friends and her family to her predicament ran a little bit false and were just not believable. Her sister gets an email saying that Elizabeth Moss wants her dead and that she always hated her, and she just believes it like that. I hope that sister never gets an email saying she's a Nigerian royalty because she's going to be out some money. I'll tell you what. Also, if you're an invisible man, the best you can come up with is hacking emails. I mean, come on, you're a tech genius. How about when Elizabeth Moss is hanging out with her friend's daughter and she gets slapped by the invisible man and turns on Moss so hard? I mean, she goes from, I love you, Auntie, thanks for giving me $10K a month for fashion school, to, I hate you, get out of my house, get the hell out of here. Again, those are choices that writers make when they try to force the plot along instead of it being organic. Lastly, and most egregiously, for a film called The Invisible Man, I feel like I don't know anything about Adrian's character, aka the Invisible Man. He's basically this two-dimensional, crazy ex-boyfriend type, but they never explain why. His brother even mentions that he dated lots of women, so what is it about Elizabeth Moss that got him so wound up that because she left him, he gave up on everything in life? Riches, fame, faked his death, and devoted his time to sneaking around in a suit and messing with her. Now I can see someone just saying he was obsessed with her, but how about we learn a little more about their history and how his obsessiveness led to doing something so out there? I mean, this dude was on top of the world, and he gave up everything just to what? Mess with her? And you can't play the she's carrying his baby card because he didn't know that until much, much later. So that was my biggest pet peeve. Other than some of the other gripes I had, I just didn't know who Adrian was other than a man in a suit. Overall, though, I did enjoy this movie, and to be honest, I thought it was better than I was expecting, which was not too much. I would give this a 6.3, and I'm genuinely excited to see Universal follow this new path of bringing back the horror in their horror franchises. This has been Dwayne Stickman's Reviews, and let us know what you think, comment, subscribe, and hey, we'll see you next time at the movies. Bye-bye.